teacher training video. So today's video, we will be featuring the pose Patita Tarasana, which is fallen triangle. Um, and we'll also do a few other triangle variations, trying to work our way through these poses. And I definitely am sort of starting my day late, so in an attempt to get my day started, I felt a little frazzled, and I'm seeing how important it is to get my practice in early and how it helps me stay grounded and centered throughout the day. So we will just start by just connecting with our breath, defining our intentions, and just remembering to give ourselves grace and patience as we move through these asanas and move through these poses and positions in and through our day. So with that being said, we can just start with a few cleansing breaths. We can start from heart center, and just take a deep breath in. And what I want to do is open your arms as you exhale. Inhale in. And let's do that in reverse. So take a inhale as you open your arms. Exhale as you bring your arms back in. One more time. Inhale, open your arms. Exhale, bring those back in. Beautiful. So let's do another breathing exercise where we are just doing that same movement but bringing our arms above our head. So we are going to drop our arms to our side, and we're going to inhale up to the sky. Exhale, bringing our arms down through heart center. Inhale, down to go up. Exhale, bringing our arms down through heart center. Last time, inhale down to go up. And exhale down through heart center. Beautiful. So now we are going to come into cat rolling. So we're going to do this warm up, and this warm up is very much part of a sequence. So we'll see how many times we can do this. So you want to just come to all fours. Bring yourself into a tabletop position, making sure those hips are, those knees are hip width apart. Your shoulders are over your wrists, and you are, have a neutral spine. So we want to inhale to cow, exhale to cat. Remembering to take complete inhalations and exhalations for each breath. I'm going to move through this sequence slow. So inhale to cat, to cow. Exhale to cow. One more time. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Now we want to curl our toes under, coming into the first downward dog of the day. Curling your toes under and just dropping your heels down. And because this is our first downward dog of the day, you can start to pump your heels, walking your heels. You can drop them from side to side. Okay. Then come back into the pose. Making sure your hips are pointed upwards and your spine is straight and your arms are straight as well. And if you can, you want to try to look towards your belly button. And let's just do all of that as a sequence. And we're going to do 3 rotations of it. So we're going to do cat, cow, downward dog 3 times with complete breaths with each movement. So inhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to downward facing dog. Exhale, bring yourself back to the ground. Inhaling to cow. Exhaling to cat. Curling your toes under, inhaling to downward facing dog. Back down, dropping your knees. Inhaling to cow. Exhaling to cat. Inhale to downward facing dog. Okay, and from here, we want to start with a lunge. So keep pumping those feet. You want to bring your right leg to the sky, hips parallel. Sweep that right leg between your arms. Make any adjustments you need to, and drop it into a low lunge. Once again, that back leg is straight. Your front leg is at a 90-degree angle, and your majority of your weight is going into your foot, soles of your feet, and not on your hands. Taking 3 full breaths in this pose. So from a low lunge, we're going to lift the upper part of our body up into a high lunge. Breathing through. Hands to the sky. Okay, now we want to drop into a pyramid pose. So we're going to straighten that front leg. Scoot the back leg up. And your feet should be staggered, facing the same direction, but parallel. So with this position, you should see the triangle pyramid. And I do have my Comedic tights on, so ironic. And you can just fold over. And you want to get deeper in the pose. I like to just bend my knee a little bit to bring my upper body closer to my thigh, and then straighten. And it just allows me to get a little deeper into the pose. Keep breathing. So from pyramid, you want to just bring your left foot up to meet your right, and we're just dropping into a forward facing fold. From forward fold, we're just going to turn ourselves out, and we are going to pivot out, come into goddess pose. So your toes are pointed to the corners of your mat, and your leg is at a wider stance, and you can feel free to just inhale your arms up and drop down into the goddess pose. Breathe through that position, taking this opportunity to reconnect with your breath and making sure that your feet are grounded. Sinking deeper into that pose if you're able to. So from goddess pose, we're going to turn into a side angle. So that right foot, that front foot that's facing the corner, we want to pivot it just so that it's straight. And facing the front of the room, and that back foot should be facing the side of the room. And just simply just dropping down. And you can put your arm placement can be elbow right above your knee. And this gives you a nice side angle. Or you can drop your hand in front. And this also is a deeper expression of that. Keep breathing through your poses. Beautiful. So from side angle, we're going to pivot our feet forward Draw our right leg back into plank, dropping those palms, holding in a nice plank. So from plank, we want to just drop our elbows to the ground. And we are now into a dolphin plank. So it's the same as plank, but you are basically on your forearms. From dolphin plank, we want to lift our hips to the sky. So this is basically a combination of dolphin plank and downward dog. And it's just dolphin. That's what it's like. And you want to sort of straighten that spine and lift those hips as much as you can. If you want to bring your hips up, you can. I sort of advise you to keep your foot placement because we're going to do a rotation. So we're going to come back into dolphin plank. So just dropping your hips, breathing. Exhale. Inhale back to dolphin. Exhale. Inhale to dolphin plank. Hold it. Exhale. And inhale back to dolphin. Exhale. And from dolphin plank, I'm going to come back up to plank just so that we can drop down into a vinyasa. So we can drop with our knees, coming down into chaturanga, Dandasana as we exhale. Inhaling to cobra or upward facing dog. Curling our toes under, back to downward facing dog. Dropping our knees and our hips to the ground into child's facing pose, child's pose. That was definitely a warm-up. If you don't feel warm, I don't know what to tell you, because I'm feeling warm already. Reconnecting with my body, reconnecting with my breath from child's pose. Extending my arms as far as possible. So while we're here, listening to my body, let's just thread the needle. And basically we're going to just bring our hips up, take our right arm, scoop it under our left, and drop our shoulder to the ground. And the attempt is to have your neck touch the back of the ground. You're extending your left hand above your head, stretching it as far as you can, and breathing through it. And this pose is hard for me because I have bantu knots in my head, so I can feel it through the knots. When I'm breathing, keeping that shoulder flat on the ground. Let's do that on the opposite side. Thread the needle. So take your left arm and sweep it under your right, dropping that shoulder to the ground. Taking your right hand over your head and extending. Breathing. You can get your head, if you can look towards the ceiling, it's the best placement of your head. Get that stretch, get that rotation. We're incorporating the warm up to our practice. Coming back to neutral, dropping our hips back to our buttocks back to our hips or our feet, heels. From kneeling position, we're just going to do a few spinal rotations. So we can just start with the most basic one, which is your right hand to your left knee, bringing your left hand behind your back and looking behind you. Beautiful. And let's do it on the opposite side. Left hand to right knee. Our right hand is behind us and we are rotating. And remembering that we're rotating from not from the hips, but from the upper part of our torso, which allows us to get deeper into our rotation. Okay. Okay. So the final movement before we go back into get balance on the other side is we're going to do our shoulder rotation, which is one of my favorite moves that I get from Kundalini Yoga. So I keep my four fingers to the front of my shoulders, my thumb to the back, and I'm just rotating. Inhale to one side, exhale to the other. Doing that as quickly as you can. Through your nose. If you start to get dizzy, slow down your movement. Engaging your core. So this is warming you up, stretching those shoulders a little bit, and it's also addressing your obliques. So getting a lot of action in this little movement. Beautiful. Okay, so now we want to just drop our hands back to the ground and come back into neutral position, back into tabletop. And, it's very important that when we start off, any sequence that we're starting off in a strong start position because it'll help us maintain the strength throughout the sequence. So making sure you're aligned here, your hands are spread out, your fingers are spread out, your weight is into the pads of your fingertips and the pads of your hands in general. And we're going to do the cat-cow sequence on this side. So we're just going to inhale cat. Inhale cow, exhale the cat. Inhale cow, exhale the cat. Lifting that spine to the sky. Inhale cow, head to the ceiling, dropping your belly. Exhale cat, spine to the sky. Curling your toes under, lifting your hips and dropping down and back into downward facing dog. Holding that down dog and just getting connected to that movement. Okay, dropping back to your knees, and we're going to go through that whole sequence all together, threading it together 3 times. One complete inhalation, exhalation on each movement, complete breath. So inhale to cow, exhale to cat, curling your toes under, inhale downward facing dog. Dropping back to the ground, inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat, inhaling back to downward facing dog. Exhaling. Last time. Cat. Cow, sorry. Cat. Downward facing dog. And what I actually want to do is rotate so that I won't be facing your back. So let us, from downward facing dog, we are bringing our hips up to the sky. Back to downward facing dog. Lifting our left leg up. Bringing our right leg through. And dropping down into low lunge. Grounding in our hands, lifting our upper body, coming up into high lunge. Breathing through this Lunge. 3 breaths. We're going to do pyramid pose on this side. Straighten that front leg, bring the back leg in a little bit, and we still have this. We should look like a hieroglyph. Our left foot forward, right foot back. That's very the Kemetic or ancient Egyptians always believed to lead with your left because that's the side that your heart is on. So we're leading with our left, folding over to pyramid. Once again, if you need to get deeper into that, bending that foot forward and then dropping back and straightening the leg. Change this a little bit, so I'm just going to pivot forward so we can do a forward fold. Once again, the same thing with the forward fold. If you need to bend a little bit to sit deeper into that fold, your crown should be towards the mat and get deep into your fold. Okay, so now we want to come into our goddess position so we can roll up, extend our legs, feet facing the corners of the mat diagonally, dropping our arms, bringing them up to the sky, to a prayer position, and bringing that prayer to heart center as we bend our knees into goddess pose. With each exhale, sinking a little deeper into the posture, hinging at your hips, or not hinging, but getting deeper into your hips. Feel free to lift your heels, right heel, lift your left heel, just to feel that a little more. Okay, and from goddess pose, we're coming into a side angle, so I'm just pivoting that front foot towards the front of my room, or down to the back, and this back heel is turning forward like you're in a warrior series position. And once again, you can feel free to put your elbow right above your knee, or you can drop deeper, hand on the ground or on a block. And for side angle, your arms up and over. I'm basically outside right now because I'm so long. Extended side angle. Breathing through that. Okay. And just for optics, I am going to turn back towards the front of the mat and dropping back into plank, and we're going to do that plank dolphin series. So hands flat on the ground, and you're in a plank, holding, engaging your core. Now you're going to just drop your forearms to the ground to dolphin plank, and it's still a similar posture, really engaging your core, clenching your butt if you need to. Lifting our hips up to dolphin. And the more we set and get our hips a little up, the more we're able to get our heels down. Mine are not very close to the ground, but it's okay. So we're rolling forward back into dolphin plank. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling back up to dolphin. Exhaling. Back into dolphin plank. Bringing our hips back up to dolphin. Last time, dolphin plank. dolphin, dropping our knees to the ground, bringing our hips back, and we're back in the child's pose for a well-earned child's pose. So hold your body down. You can extend your arms or bring them to your side. I really like my arms at the side. I just feel, for some reason, I feel a little more of a shoulder stretch. Now we want to roll up to kneeling position. So just roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. As you inhale, dropping your shoulders. Your head should be the last thing to lift. Getting back adjusted. A little cat-cow. Okay. And we are going to recenter once again. So let's start with that breathing movement that we did at the beginning of the practice, just from a kneeling position. So at our hands at heart center, we want to inhale as we open our arms. Exhale, close our arms back into prayer. Through your nose. Inhale, open. Exhale, prayer position. One more time. Inhale, open. And we are exhaling back into prayer. Beautiful. And now we'll do that breath movement, this time bringing our arms above us. So with our hands at our side, we're going to inhale up above our head. Exhale, dropping our hands down through heart center. One more time. Inhale up. Exhaling down, dropping through heart center. Final time, let's inhale. And we are exhaling down through heart center. Okay? I'm going to prepare myself for the next. Okay. Movement. Okay. So now we want to just do another side bend. So we're going to drop our right arm to the ground from our heels. Take our left arm up and over our body. Keeping those hips flat on our heels and just extending. Getting this full side bend. Straight line, full extension. And breathe. Coming back up to center. And let's do that on the opposite side. So we're going to drop our right elbow to the ground. No, this is not our right. This is our left. Left to the ground. Right arm up and extended. Hope you're not losing me in this, but you know what I'm doing. Extend. And stretch. Back into center. So we want to bring ourselves back into a tabletop position. Curling our toes under. And we are coming into a three-legged dog. That's not three legs. Right leg to the sky. Your hips should be facing the mat. Three-legged dog. Keep breathing. So from three-legged dog, we're going to come into our fallen triangle pose. And how we do that is we bring our right leg to our left elbow or towards our left elbow. Begin to pivot that back foot so that it's flat. Swinging your right leg through and under your left elbow. Straighten your leg and extend. And we're in a fallen triangle pose. It's sort of a variation of side angle and a few other things. And that's Patita Tarasana. fallen triangle. So from fallen triangle, we want to bring our right leg back to our side, and we're coming into side plank. So we're just sort of lifting up and over, straightening, and you should be on the sides of your heels. A variation of this pose is taking that left leg, bringing it up and over, and it allows a little more balance in the pose. Because that's a lot to go from fallen triangle to the side plank. So we want to drop our left hand to the ground. We want to turn back towards the mat and drop into a forward fold. Drop into a downward facing dog. Breathing. That was a lot of movement. It wasn't easy. Taking our right leg back to the sky, sweeping it through, and we're dropping down into warrior two. So back foot is dropping, and we're facing the front of the room. Making sure my tools that I need are ready. Our arms are extended. Feel free to check the back arms. Everything is flat. Warrior two. Facing forward. Your warrior posture. Ready to fight. Breathing through that. So from warrior two, we're going to straighten our leg. Maybe bring it in, close that stance a little bit. Hinge our foot, hinge ourselves forward, and then drop down into triangle position or Trikonasana. Feeling free to use whatever tools you have. Let it be a block or to rise up into the pose. You don't have to drop all the way to the ground, but that is the full expression. Breathing deeply into our posture. Okay, from triangle, we want to come into reverse triangle. So what we're going to do, take our left hand that's in the sky, lift, actually we want to narrow the stance just a little bit. Drop this left hand to your block or to the ground, and you're rotating to the back. That right arm is up and extended, and we're in a reverse triangle. Keeping everything as straight as possible. Rotating as completely as you can. So from reverse triangle, we want to go into reverse half moon. And what I'm going to do is stand my block up a little bit. And basically, I'm just going to hinge up, similar to the half moon, and extend my leg. Lifting that leg up, that left leg. Keeping that same rotation that you had in reverse triangle. Finding a point of focus. And since we're here, we're going so hard, I hope you didn't lose me. Let me come back just a little bit so you can see me. We're going to come into warrior three. So we're turning our bodies towards the mat and bringing our hands either up or out or to your chest. Breathing into warrior three. From warrior three, dropping that back foot down, we can make our way up and pivot towards the front of the room. Preparing ourselves for our standing big toe extension, making sure our foot is fully grounded. Toes are spread out, and almost like you're coming into tree. You can just grab that big toe on your left side and extend it out. And if you're able to transition without stopping, feel free to do that without dropping that foot down. And as much as you can open your hip, you want to do that. So from here, I'm going to bend back in, and I'm just going to bring my foot into my tree pose position of preference. I prefer the lotus, but you have the option to have your foot on your ankle, your shin, or your thigh, your inner thigh. So coming into tree pose, I like to start my tree pose at heart center, breathing deep. Then I like to grow my tree and extend my limbs. Doing what trees do, blowing in the wind, connecting to the sky, but also rooted in the earth. Okay, dropping that left foot back to the ground. Pivoting your right foot back to the front, and also your left foot you're pivoting to the front, because we are going to drop down into a standing split. So right leg forward, oops. Coming down to the ground, bring your hands to the ground, and you're hinging up and forward, lifting that leg up as straight as you can. Keep lifting, keep extending that left leg. I've also heard this called needle pose. And you also want to just bring your torso as close to your right thigh as you can, and it just allows you to get a little deeper into that pose. See that leg shaking, feeling it. Okay. So from here, we want to drop our foot to the ground, drop our knee to the ground, and we are coming into a crescent lunge. So with the crescent lunge, we're just going to hinge forward, sitting deep into that lunge, and just hinging forward. A little deeper, a little deeper. From crescent lunge, we're going to bring our hips back, and we're dropping into a half split. So coming down, dropping in a half split, fold it over. After all that leg work we did on that right side, definitely put some work in over there. And we want to just do a movement rotation of that. So we're going to go crescent half split for each breath. So let's inhale the crescent lunge, getting deep into those hips. Exhale and dropping those hips back to half split. Inhale into crescent lunge, sitting deep. Exhale, dropping our hips back into half split. Last time, we're inhaling up to crescent lunge. And we're exhaling, dropping our hips back into half split. So from here, we're going to draw our right leg back. And we want to come down into we're going to do a knee, chest, chin. So we're going to, got our knees on the ground, dropping our chest and our chin. Knee, chest, chin, vinyasa. Straighten your arms up to upward dog. Folding your toes under, back into downward facing dog. feel free to drop down to your heels into a child position. I'm going to rotate so that you can see me clearly and I'm not giving you some other stuff over there. I don't want my back facing you guys. Those blocks can come here. Okay, so from kneeling position, we can just drop into, or your child's pose. From child's pose, continue to breathe. And slowly roll up to your kneeling position. Reconnecting with your breath. Reconnecting with your intention. Okay. So what I want to do is just do a quick wrist stretch. So the first thing that I do with my wrist stretch is I take my hands facing the back of the room. And that's it, not lost. Dropping your hands behind you and just leaning back. Leaning into those wrists. It's a nice stretch, nice rotation. So much weight. And now we want to bring our hands to our side. They're still facing the back of the room and leaning back still, but a little less. Keeping your hands flat on the ground. And this is a nice stretch. You feel it in your forearms and your wrists. All those downward dogs that we've been doing and all those planks. You know, rock if you need to. This feels good. Okay. Now we're going to bring it up forward a little further. And the more forward you bring it, the more difficult it will be to get your palms probably on the ground. So now we're about at our knees. Bringing our hands beside our knees. Our palms are flat if they can be. Keeping our heels down. And then just leaning back just a little bit. It's a very micro lean. Almost like you're trying to sit up. But I guarantee you're going to feel it in your wrist. In your forearms. You can rock side to side. Keep breathing. Okay, one more motion. We're going to bring our hands just in front of our knees. And this is going to require for us to lift our hips up to get them flat on the ground. Just lifting them up. And then your hands are still facing the back of the room and you are motioning like you're dropping your hips. Unless you have extreme flexibility, you most likely will not be able to drop your hips completely and keep your hands on the ground. You can see how mine is lifted. So you're just dropping them as much as you can, keeping your hands flat on the ground. Feeling that stretch. And from here, I want to just rotate my hands, the tops of my hands to my mat. Getting this full stretch. You can create a ball, so just ball them up. Open them. Ball them. Open. One more. Open. And begin to just drop your heels, your feet, your butt, your hips to your heels. And you should also feel this stretch. And if you don't, you can just extend your arms out a little further. Get deeper into that. All right, nice. Feel free to do a little rotation. Okay, and let's just do one more shaking it out because we're shaking on these hips. So we're gonna bring our arms up to the sky and open them slightly into a V shape, and then you can put your gaze towards the sky as well and just start shaking your wrists. This is another Kundalini Yoga. Kriya is what they call it, which is a sequence of movement, and it's a great release for those wrists that has been getting all that work. Okay, beautiful. All right, so we've stalled long enough. We're gonna do that sequence on the left side. So we're coming up into a plank and we're coming into a downward dog on the left side. So hands at tabletop, curling your toes under, lifting your hips up into downward dog. Left leg up to the sky, keeping it parallel. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a three-legged dog. And then we're coming into a fallen triangle, Patita Tarasana. Patita Tarasana, fallen triangle. So we're bringing our left leg towards our right elbow as we pivot our hips towards the front, dropping that right foot and dropping that left foot under, straightening the right leg. So we got to hinge a little bit and bringing our arms up. This is the fallen triangle. So from here, we want to come into side plank. I'm going to do the variation. So I'm bringing my left leg back. So the hinging over, making sure our shoulders is over our wrist. And I'm bringing my right leg forward to hold me up. But you can feel free to do a full expression of side plank. It's just hard for me to do it and talk. So from side plank, we're coming back into a downward facing dog. Just pivoting our hips towards the ground. It's a quick rotation. And we should really feel deep into the stretch at this point. Rocking the hips, lifting our left leg up, swinging it through our arms, dropping into warrior two on the left side. So we're opening our arms, facing forward, sitting deep into our warrior. Feeling that in my thigh. So from warrior two, we're going to come into triangle pose. So straightening that front leg, hinging forward, and dropping down to a nice, beautiful triangle. Trikonasana. Heads to the sky. Getting deep into this posture and breathing. So from triangle, we want to do a reverse triangle. You can change your gaze looking towards the ground. Drop your right hand to your block or to the mat. Narrow your stance just a little bit. And rotate. Bringing that left arm to the sky. And we're in reverse triangle. Let's make some space for the next movement. So from reverse triangle, we're going to come into reverse half moon. So we're basically lifting our right leg up, doing a hinge forward. I need to move my blocks up a little bit, up and out like a half moon. Elevating as much as you can, using whatever blocks or props you need, and breathing through it because we are like working real hard over here. Okay, so from reverse half moon, backing up again, we can come into our warrior three. So you can either touch down if you need to or just rotate from outward to downward, your hips. Extend your arms or bring them to your heart center for warrior three. Okay. From warrior three, we can drop that back foot down. Bring yourself up. You're going to rotate to the front. Reestablish your grounding. And we're going to do our extended big toe movement. So you can, like you're coming into tree pose, grab your big right toe and extend it out. Your hands on your hip. And your extended leg should be about hip width. Maybe a little higher. Oops. At hip level. See, I lost my balance when I dropped it lower. When I dropped it closer to hip level. So you may need to keep it a little higher. So from here, we want to come into our tree. And if I feel the wavering, I have no problem touching down to get my balance back. Come right back into it. The tree posture of your choice. So ankles, shin, or thigh, or lotus, half lotus. Heart at chest center, breathing through this posture. Working up a legit sweat over here. Now we want to grow our tree, so bring our arms to the sky, extend. Once again, being rooted in the earth, but connected to the celestial energies and entities and the Most High and all the good stuff that's up there in the sky. Up to the sky. I always got to sing a little bit. I guess I'm singing because I'm excited because we're almost done. Okay. So from tree, dropping that right foot down, and we are just pivoting back, forward, both feet, and we're dropping our right knee to the ground, sinking our hips forward, lifting our upper body, and we're coming into a crescent lunge on the left side. Make whatever adjustments you would need to. I usually have to sit back a little bit just to make this adjustment, get as deep into the posture as I can. Dropping our hands to the outsides of our feet, bringing our hips back and down for a half split. Sitting into that half split, folding over. Bring your upper body as close to your thigh as possible, and breathing through this posture. Once more, keeping your abs engaged, sinking a little deeper into each posture as you exhale. And let's just do that cardio movement, so a breath for each movement. We're going to inhale to crescent, sinking deep into crescent. Exhale into half split. Make your breaths audible if you can. Inhale, sinking deep into crescent lunge. Bring your hands to the sky. Exhale, dropping your hips back into half split. Last time we are going to inhale forward, deep into crescent. And we are exhaling, dropping those hips back into half split. Beautiful. Bringing our hands to the ground, bringing our left knee back, and then we're going to drop into a vinyasa. So, vinyasa. So, coming down into a kneeling plank, rolling up to an upward facing dog or cobra, curling our toes under, back into a downward facing dog. Let's really get into this downward dog. Rocking into it. Downward dog, we're going to drop our knees to the ground, drop our hips back, coming back into a child's pose. So either extend your arms or bring them to your sides. to a kneeling position. And we want to make our way to bring our buttocks to the mat. So rolling over, coming flat on our mat. So you can see me. And what I want to do, because we did that stretching sort of preparing us for it, so your hands are facing the front of the mat, and we're going to do a reverse plank. So we're just sort of locking our arms out, locking our legs out, and lifting our hips. Feet are straight, keeping those hips up, breathing in. Dropping your hips back to the ground. Sit up into staff pose. Coming back into the reverse plank position. Lifting those hips. Try not to let your buttocks drop. Back into seated position. You need to rock your hips from side to side. Do that. And we can come into a forward, seated fold position. So hinging at your hips. Like I said, whenever I do a fold, I like to start with a bend in my knee and then straighten my legs. So bending my knee, straightening my legs, inching it down. Trying to avoid curling your spine. You need to be at your hips, you need to be at your shin, you need to be sitting up. Okay. From here, we're going to just scoot up a little bit. I'm going to roll down on the mat. Just to do a quick core exercise. So this core exercise, we'll do 2 core exercises. We'll start with the leg lift. So with your legs flat on the mat, lifting your head a little bit. Actually, keep your head down to the ground. And you're gonna lift your right leg, hover your left leg. I'm sorry, we are lifting our head just a little bit. And your arms can be straight. You can sort of hold on to those knees and switch. Left leg, bringing it in, pulling it in. Switch. Right leg, breathing through. Switch. Switch. Right leg to the sky, left leg hovering. Switch. Left leg to the sky, right leg hovering. One more on each side. Keeping those legs as straight as possible. Beautiful. You can just bring your legs up just to curl it a little bit. Dropping your knees down. And we're going to bring our hands under our butt. Dropping our legs, and we're going to do a double leg lift. So keeping our our head to the ground. And you can do this leg lift without your hands under, but I personally find that I have more leverage when I have my hands under my hips. It's basically a triangle that I have. I'm sitting on a triangle under my hips. So I might start making Serena Williams noises when I do these lifts. So your legs are locked and hovering, almost lotus-like, bringing them up to the sky. Inhaling, exhaling, lowering them. And of course, we know that the more you lower them, the deeper you get into the exercise. So you want to do it to at least a 60 to 45 degree angle. But if you can go lower, feel free. Lower as you exhale. Inhale, bring them up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, bring them up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, legs up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, bring it back up. Okay, and from here, we want to come into fish posture. So bringing our legs to the ground, keeping our hands under. We're basically turning our instead of that triangle, we're turning our hips, our hands towards the front of the room, pivoting our elbows. So we're just sitting on our elbows basically. And then you want to drop your head to the mat. And if you need to make your elbows a little wider, you can straighten your toes and you're arching your back in fish posture. Breathing into this posture, relaxing into this posture. Okay, drop your elbows. Bring yourself all the way to the mat. Bring your knees to your chest and squeeze. Rocking a little bit from side to side. Dropping your left leg, holding your right knee into your chest. You can bring it sort of outside of your torso. Squeezing it a little closer to your chest. Grabbing on to your right big toe with your left arm, your left hand, and you're taking your right big toe over to your left side. And that right shoulder should be on the ground, flat and extended, for a nice spinal rotation. Here we want to let our we're going to do a reclining pigeon. So our right ankle is above our left knee, and we're just creating a clasp, squeezing that part of our body, squeezing it in, hinging at the hips just like if you were in regular pigeon. And the stretch is the same, you feel the same movement. It's just a nice variation. Into this movement. Okay. I'm going to drop our right leg to the ground, squeezing that left leg in slightly outside of our torso, squeezing. So we slow down and reconnect with our intention. Grabbing our right big toe, our left big toe with our right hand, extending our leg up and over our body, dropping our shoulders to the ground. Rotating. Okay. Now we want to bring our left heel, or left ankle above our right knee into a reclining pigeon on the left side. Squeezing that clasp, bringing it closest to your hips as possible. Breathing deeply into this movement, or this posture. So finally, we want to drop our body down to the mat for our final Shavasana, corpse pose, which means our practice is done. There's nothing left for us to do but reflect. So you want to drop your feet to the bottom, to your mat, to the corners, opening them slightly, letting them drop out. Bringing your arms away from your body. Your palms are facing upward. You're just sinking into your mat, melting into your mat, combining and feeling all of these postures that we've done today, integrating them into the rest of our day, into our body, feeling all parts of your body, feeling the difference in how you feel from now to when your practice started, acknowledging areas where you still may feel a little tension and breathing into those areas. Keep breathing. We've done so much work through this practice that the ultimate work is just reconnecting with our breath and with the silence that comes between each exhalation. Keep breathing through your breath. Slowly, I want you to start bringing awareness back to your body as you breathe through the movement, breathe through the postures. Start touching your fingertips and wiggling your toes. Open and closing your fists. One breath. I want you to bring your knees to your chest and drop to your side in a fetus position. Making our way back up to easy seat, Sukhasana. Okay. And today the chakra. It's Wednesday, so for Wednesday, my chakra is always going to be Svadhisthana, also known as the sacral chakra. So the mudra that we use for our sacral chakra is this oval. Our left hand is at the bottom, our right hand is on top, and we're creating this oval, holding it in front of our sacral area, holding it in front of our womb, breathing into that area. And the mantra for the sacral chakra is Vam. So we want to take a deep inhalation, and we want to exhale, Vam. One more time, deep inhalation, exhale, Vam. Hands back to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me today on this practice. I appreciate you. I appreciate your light and the energy that you share. I say peace, hotep, shalom, assalamu alaikum, goodbye, namaste. Thanks. Serena Williams noise. Yes. Ooh, that was long.